Hi, this is Jeff from Vital Smarts Australia, New Zealand. I want to share with you today a little bit about what we call the Convergence Model. There's plenty of research globally that clearly indicates organisations that are culturally strong and really good at communication have overall a much better capacity to be able to achieve results and targets. We use a triangle to represent the Convergence Model and different types of organisations we see in the marketplace. On one side is culture, and on the other side, results. Now, these results will vary across different industries. For example, in healthcare, it can be hitting the patient safety targets, or in a large manufacturing organisation, it can be productivity targets and key performance indicators. And in a private organisation, it can be financial results. What we know for sure is that different organisations have different capacities to be able to hit their desired results, and we see them typically falling into one of 5 different categories that reflect the environment and culture within the organisation. Let's have a look at each of these categories to better understand each type of organisation, why they sit where they do, and how our Crucial Conversations training might fit. The first level is controlling organisations. In a controlling environment within an organisation, there tends to be what I refer to as a do-as-I-say culture. It's their way or the highway. They don't tend to see any need to build culture, and they typically don't do anything much in the way of training beyond what is absolutely required of them. In these organisations, Crucial Conversations training is just irrelevant. It has no context and no real meaning for these organisations. Number 2, compliant organisations can be very large and often have a very politically correct environment. They can be okay places to work, but they're very political, where the culture is very much of saying and doing the right thing. Innovation in a compliant environment would only occur to the degree to which people felt they were saying and doing the things they were allowed to do. These organisations do run training, but everything is based upon what we refer to as cost or comfort training, based on price or alternatively working with someone they have used regularly before. For example, a lot of very big and quite wealthy private schools here in Australia will tell you they want world-class training, as long as it is to a fixed daily budget. That's really their only criteria. There's no requirement for measurable outcomes, or does it fit a learning and development plan, or is it going to help out with changing behaviour? It just has to fit a budget. In the case of a large software company that we spoke to about our Crucial Conversations training, they end up getting someone that has been doing training for them for about 20 years, and that person has now developed a communication program specifically for them. Were there any outcomes from the training? Who knows? It was more about having the comfortable face, someone they related to back in doing the training rather than about a program that was going to produce results. Bringing in our Crucial Conversations training into compliant organisations can be quite confronting. The leaders in these organisations really don't want to be held accountable. They really want to be able to call the shots. The third category are what we call cooperative organisations, and there are a lot of these in our marketplace here in Australia and New Zealand. They're often in the formative stages of getting some sort of professional development and developing a learning plan. These organisations are quite friendly, but just don't operate well under pressure. They're not really good at holding other people accountable. They might talk about how to do it, but there's no real skills to do it, and they just don't do it very well. These cooperative organisations typically do 2 types of training: compliance training or competitive training. Compliance training is really about what they are required to do to tick the box that says they are compliant. When they do Crucial Conversations training, they often want to do it over 1 day rather than 2. There is no long-term plan for embedding the skills into the organisation. They just want to get it done and out of the way, and of course we know how ineffective that can be in changing behaviour. When I say competitive training, it is the organisation looking for the most competitive solution to get it over and done with, often based on who can deliver it the fastest. What we find in this particular part of the market is that Crucial Conversations training is not necessarily a vital skill, but is definitely useful to these organisations. Now let's look at committed organisations. This level is where a lot of our clients sit. These are organisations that have very motivated workforces. However, they acknowledge that there are people in these organisations that are low in certain skills, such as human skills around communication, for example, while they might be very high in technical skills. These organisations will typically have an organisational development framework, like a learning and development plan, as well as a competency framework. They'll have also used a survey tool like human synergistics or some other type of measurement system. The results show that there are gaps that exist around employee engagement as well as communication. Committed organisations will often run training in programs such as situational leadership, 7 Habits, or other programs. And whilst these programs touch on communication, they often don't provide practical solutions on how to have the tough conversations. For these committed organisations, Crucial Conversations is essential. It's the essential skill set that helps them to complete their organisational development framework. Then there are convergent organisations. These are high-performing organisations that don't just talk about culture, they actively build it. They have environments where people will hold each other accountable to their organisation's values and behaviours. They've got a very strong professional development program and often have already some sort of well-developed communication process in place. A great example of this here in Australia is a very large food organisation where we have trained around 1,000 people. They use Crucial Conversations training alongside programs such as situational leadership, emotional intelligence, 7 Habits, and a range of others. They are very metrics-driven organisations in order to measure performance and results. In these organisations, they see that having skills like Crucial Conversations training is not only essential, but integral to drive culture and therefore results. So where do we go from here? Crucial Conversations used globally is not so much a training program. It's really much more of an intervention in helping organisations to create permanent, sustainable behavioural change in helping leaders, managers and their teams step up to tough conversations and tough issues and not only deal with them, but deal with them every day. So what impact will Crucial Conversations have within your organisation? It will depend upon a number of things. Number one, it will depend upon your current culture and what cultural development you have done or are undertaking. Number two, it will depend upon your leadership development framework and your organisational development plans. And number three, it will really depend upon your organisational outcomes and what results your organisation really wants to achieve. So the next step from here is to go to www.vitalsmarts.com.au and book a call with us today. Alternatively, you can register on our website for one of our up-and-coming webinars, which will give you a lot more information about what impact Crucial Conversations will have within your organisation. We look forward to hearing from you.